guys, it's Hollie here for PlayStation Access. Now, some of you might know that I'm quite a big fan of DmC, and of course I'm very excited for DmC Definitive Edition coming to PS4. Now, I've managed to steal you from your work, Rahni,
yep.
and you're going to talk to me all about DmC Definitive Edition. Now, you worked on the original DmC, and you were Miss Combat, basically.
Yep, yeah, I did all of Dante's combat and all the baddies.
So, what are you doing now for DmC Definitive Edition?
I'm the creative director, actually, on the Definitive Edition.
Oh, right up there.
Yeah, level up.
Now, let's start with everyone's favourite, 60 frames per second. Yes. So for a lot of games, we're seeing this now, this generation especially, people want to be like, oh, is it 1080p, is it 60 frames per second? Yep. But it really does make a difference to games like DmC. So what kind of things have you been able to do thanks to being at 60 frames instead of 30?
Yeah, it makes a massive difference and it plays beautifully, so that's cool. As the first point, turbo mode is one of the biggest ones that's come out of 60 frames per second. We tried it at 30, and yeah, lost a lot of frames, like a lot of hit frames that obviously you can't be having. So yeah, it just wasn't possible on the last gen of consoles. So yeah, this gen, you know, at 60 frames, we could include that, so that was cool. When we were making the game, we wanted things to be like a little bit more accessible than maybe they have been classically, but like not super easy. And we were playing around with stuff like parry timings, and we'd try it at like, you know, an amount of frames, and people would try it out and go, oh, that's way too easy, you know, I can just do it all the time. You make it like 1 frame shorter, and then people just couldn't do it at all. Which is like, it seems mental, but sometimes that 1 frame can just make so much difference. But when you've got 60 frames, you've got like twice as many frames. So you can find like those sweet spots in the middle that kind of you weren't able to reach before.
Now you mentioned turbo mode, but it's not the only thing. We've got hardcore mode.
Yep.
The Gods Must Die difficulty level.
Yep.
And we've got style.
Must style modifier.
Must style modifier. Right, run me through what all of these mean. Like, what can we do by turning on these different mods?
Okay, there's heaps of stuff. So, hardcore mode's a modifier. You can play hardcore mode over any difficulty level. And what it does, basically we wanted to create like a balance of the game that was like a throwback to the classic DMCs, just mostly in terms of balance. And the style system is probably where you're going to notice it the most. So the decay rate on the style system is massive.
It's
like
quick.
You saw before, it's really fast. So you have to work quite hard to first to get up to an S rank and then to stay there is difficult. There's also some other tweaks in there, like the parry. There was like a thing with the prop and shredder move on the scythe. When the stinger guy was shooting the like bullets at you, you could do the prop and it would just bounce back no matter what the timing. Now, you only get a parry on the first strike of any attack. Okay. So you can't just do attacks like that and be like, oh, it's automatically parrying. So you have to like time everything perfectly. So that's like a little bit harder. Enemies hit a tiny bit harder, so they're a little bit tougher. And the devil trigger is kind of like a throwback to the old games as well. So the enemies don't get thrown up in the air. So yeah, it's a bit more challenging. You have to stay on your toes a bit more. So that's hardcore mode. And yeah, you can toggle that over the top of anything. Next thing we've got is a new difficulty level.
Which sounds difficult.
Yep, it's Gods Must Die, so it's above Dante Must Die. So in this mode, it's basically the balance and the wave setup is similar to DMD, but the enemies spawn with their enemy devil trigger active.
Okay. And
there's no health drops, and you can't use any items at all.
Good.
They're the main thing. So it's tough. It's hard, and you know, it's for the hardcore guys. It's to give that extra challenge that they've been looking for. You know, they said it was lacking a bit, so we wanted to like step up and give them something like proper hardcore to have a go at. So that's cool. So yeah, that's a difficulty level, and then you've got must style modifier, which is just craziness.
That looked really, really good, but
yeah, it's mental. So again, this is a mod, so you can toggle it over any difficulty level, and you can toggle it in tandem with hardcore mode and turbo.
Which just sounds ridiculous. Like, so you've hardcore, turbo, and must style at the same time.
Yep, and you can play that on the Gods Must Die difficulty level as well. So in must style modifier, you have to be at an S rank or above to deal any damage at all to an enemy. So obviously that's really tough. But I think it's going to be really cool, especially for guys like making combo videos and stuff like that, because the enemies are going to stay alive for absolutely ages. So you can just juggle them up in the air and have as much fun as you want with them, and press share and upload it.
Now, one of the great things about making Definitive Edition is DmC's already been out there. I mean, you said it was like having the ultimate beta test. You've been able to get so much feedback from so many different people.
Yep.
And you have implemented a lot of fan kind of feedback, not just the mods, because obviously some of the mods have come from the most popular stuff the community have created.
Yep.
But what the kind of feedback have you taken? I know you've made some changes. You said sort of the colours. So obviously it used to be the enemy would be blue if you needed to use a colour, and now you've made some changes.
Yep, so we've got the red and blue enemies that people had some troubles with, you know, didn't like that they couldn't combo them together. So we made it so you can hit those with any weapon. But obviously if you hit them with the wrong weapon, they still don't react, so you can't interrupt them, and you deal a bit less damage. So it's still, you know, a benefit to use the correct weapon against them, but you can use whatever you want. We've taken the Trickster Angel Dash mod that somebody did on the PC version, where basically you could just chain together the Angel Dash like kind of infinitely. And that's really fun to play, but obviously a massive exploit because you're just invulnerable all the time and you can break level streaming and all sorts of badness. But it's so fun to do. We're like, okay, what can we do to get this in the game? So what we made was like a triple Angel Evade. So you can do that sort of 3 times and then you have like a little cooldown where you're vulnerable for a little bit after you use it. So that's in there. Lots of little tweaks. We didn't do too much to Dante and Virgil because we were like pretty happy with them. There's just little balancing things like Demon Evade, which was massively OP and people exploited a lot, especially against bosses and in tandem with Devil Trigger and boss weak points and stuff. So we fixed issues like that. The Killer Round Trip took a little bit of a nerf, but
that stun was pretty.
Yep, the stun was quite long on that, so we fixed that up. But then stuff like the Kablooey firing rate we felt was a bit slow, and we saw people using like cancels to fire the shots faster and it made the weapon much more useful. So we brought the firing rate of that up, but not so much so that it kind of negated the coolness of being able to do the cancels. So the cancels are still the best way to use that weapon, but then the firing rate, the base firing rate's increased as well. And
we really liked when we were playing, we saw kind of our friend scores at the bottom, so it wasn't the case of them to go out to the leaderboard anymore. You guys had also pulled in, you can look straight away.
Yeah.
I haven't quite beat my friend, or...
Exactly, because competing, like, you know, it's not a multiplayer game in that you play at the same time against somebody, but it kind of is competitive because people play for scores. So, like, it's cool that you can see what your friends have scored and see if you've beaten them. It's cool.
They say we haven't done much to Dante and Virgil, but we do have Virgil's Blood Palace mode. Tell me a little bit about that one.
So Bloody Palace for Virgil, well, a few people actually have asked, like, why we didn't just put Virgil in Dante's Bloody Palace. And it's kind of because they're totally separate beasts, right? Like, Dante has his strengths and weaknesses, and Virgil has his own. And you have to kind of balance the game and the wave setup and stuff around the character to make it the most fun. And it's like Virgil deserved his own setup that was suited perfectly to him. So we've made the Virgil Bloody Palace. It's 60 levels long. So it's not as long as Dante's, but that was kind of intentional because we tried a bunch of different lengths with different wave setups, and we thought like that was like the optimal length for him. So it features all of the baddies that are in his DLC pack and the boss fight as well. And it's got like 3 kind of special waves in there that sort of mix it up a little bit. So yeah, it's cool.
Now you mentioned DLC. Now this will come with all the DLC that's been released today and some extra bits as well, right? We've got some new costumes. And
it comes with all the DLC that we released bundled in, and then you get a new costume for Dante and for Virgil.
And a new cutscene. There you go. Thank you so much. Like I said, I'm a massive fan, so I think it's incredible what you're doing with not just doing things that you wanted to do, but really getting that fan feedback, going out and finding it and implementing it into the game. So thank you very much for your time.
Oh, no worries.
You guys can stay tuned to the YouTube channel because I guess we've got loads more from Ninja Theory coming up.